HDB just announced that they will launch a very exciting project in Toa Payoh for October 2026. So, as part of the rejuvenation efforts for Toa Payoh, HDB will launch a BTO project next to Caldecott MRT station in October 2026, which will help to provide more housing options for those looking to live closer to family in Toa Payoh and other nearby towns. The project will feature a distinctive terracing skyline that reflects its hillside character. It will be about 1,600 units across 5 blocks, including 590 two-room flexi flats and 580 four-room flats, as well as 230 public rental flats. But surprisingly, they actually chose to put 240 units of community care apartments or CCA here in Toa Payoh, which is actually the first one in this town. This is targeted for seniors over the age of 65 who wish to age independently in their community. So home buyers can look forward for on-site facilities such as food court, fast food restaurant, a supermarket, a childcare center, and several shops. So if we look at the map, actually this is not the first BTO in the area, right? Back in July 2025, Toa Payoh Ascent was launched. It was a medium-sized project with 741 units of 2-room flexi, 3-room, and also 4-room flats, and it was classified as prime project at that time. The 4-room unit flat started at $583,000, which is on the high side. So I'm guessing the pricing for this upcoming Caldecott BTO in October will be around that. So maybe just under 600,000 for the starting price for 4-room flat. But I'm guessing the clawback rate probably would be higher versus Toa Payoh Ascent. So Toa Payoh Ascent subsidy clawback rate was 11%. But I'm guessing, I don't know, probably it'll be higher, 12%, 13%, I don't know. Comment down below, guys, if you want to guess how much would the clawback rate be for this Caldecott BTO. And then if we look at the map again, there are 2 other BTO around the area, which is Toa Payoh Ridge and also Toa Payoh Crest. So Toa Payoh Ridge was launched back in 2020, which means that this project is classified as a standard project because it happens before this whole plus classification launch. Because it is a relatively young project, then this would be one of the competitor. If let's say you want to apply for this Caldecott / Toa Payoh BTO in October, and then later after MOP you want to sell your project, this Toa Payoh Ridge BTO would be your competition because the location is just nearby. The age is only several years difference. But then Toa Payoh Ridge has more relaxed restrictions, right? For example, they can rent out the flat after MOP, there's no subsidy clawback, there's no income ceiling for future resale buyer, etc. Now, another development nearby is Toa Payoh Crest, but this one is much older because it was launched back in 2012. So I think this one is not so much of a competition for you, but I think nevertheless, the location itself is very promising. It's very nice if you are working in the CBD area because it's just a short commute to the city center. And then if you have young kids, there are also several schools nearby. So I think this project will be very popular despite of the classification and the subsidy clawback because as we can see, Toa Payoh Ascent application rate was quite high when it was launched back in July 2025. So I'm guessing this upcoming BTO near Caldecott MRT station will be very popular as well. Now let's take a closer look of the location. So according to the map from HDB, this would be the land plot for this upcoming BTO in October 2026. And as you can see, it is really near Caldecott MRT station, definitely within walking distance. And I think as far as I remember, Caldecott MRT station is underground, right? So this actually gives the best of both worlds because you will be near an MRT station, but then you don't have to worry about the noise of the train passing by. So I think that's excellent. And then if you feel that this location is very familiar, you're not wrong because Toa Payoh Ascent is just across the street. So this BTO was launched back in July 2025. And then this one is going to be launched in October 2026, but only at the upper portion, yeah. The bottom portion, according to the HDB map, is allocated as a new mixed-use development. So I'm guessing that it will be basically a condo, maybe with shopping mall at the lower portion. If that's the case, then actually it's excellent, because one of the things that is lacking in this area is amenities within walking distance. So if there is going to be shopping mall just next to the BTO, this would definitely help to boost the convenience when you live here, as well as the potential resale value somewhere down the line if you want to sell your flat after MOP. Now, speaking about amenities, if you look at the map, you can simply take a short bus ride away if you want to go to Toa Payoh town center, basically, where you can find malls and more shops and amenities. And then if I zoom out a little bit further out, you see this huge land plot. This is basically the upcoming Toa Payoh integrated development. So according to the press release, this development will include a stadium, badminton courts, aquatic center, etc. But then on top of that, it will also have the new Toa Payoh Polyclinic, library, among other recreational and community facilities. So if we look at how popular Tampines 1 is right now, I think the concept will be somewhat similar to that. So yeah, that would be additional amenities if you want to apply for this upcoming October BTO. Now, if I scroll to the other side, as you can see, Mount Alvernia Hospital is also nearby. And then further out, you can see the Makrice Reservoir Park here. So that's good news if you like active lifestyle. Now, speaking about school options, as you can see, Marymount Convent School is over here. And then you also have this SGI International School, CHIJ Primary Toa Payoh, and also CHIJ Secondary School. So definitely there are several school options nearby. Some of them are top schools. So I think that will be good as well for your resale value. Now, speaking about resale value, we already mentioned that this land plot is near several other existing BTO, right? So this one is Toa Payoh Ridge. The one that I've mentioned is classified as a standard BTO, and it's relatively young. If you want to know what's the potential financial impact on the price being so close to another young BTO that is classified as a standard project, check out my separate video because I will be discussing that in members only video. So if you're keen, check out my channel. Now the BTO next door, Toa Payoh Crest, is older, so this would not be a head-to-head competition with this upcoming Caldecott BTO for October. Speaking about amenities, as you can see within walking distance, you can also find the Toa Payoh West Market and Food Center. I do want to point out that probably one of the risks of staying here is that the timeline for the mixed-use development is not announced yet. So there's a possibility if, let's say, the BTO is already completed, but then the mixed-use development is not yet developed or still in progress, which means that you might have to deal with construction dust and noise somewhere down the line, depending on the timeline for the mixed-use development. So that's the watch out. Now let's talk about the pros and cons of the project. So definitely, I love that it is within walking distance to Caldecott MRT station. And by the way, Caldecott MRT station is actually serving two lines, right? It is serving the Circle Line and also the Thomson East Line. So that would mean that for people who want to travel around the town, so that means that it will be very helpful for you to venture out in Singapore because you have more options. And actually, it will be good for the potential resale value later on, because typically any development that is near an MRT station that is serving multiple lines tends to be more desirable for future buyers. So that's excellent. And then I also love that the government already announced that the land plot next door will be a mixed-use development, even though we don't know the timeline, but it is still a good news nevertheless, most likely it will be a condo with a shopping mall at the lower portion. If that's true, then that will definitely be a good amenities boost for the area. Another thing that I like about this development is clearly it has a very strong resale potential. Most likely you would be able to sell a four-room flat on high floor more than $1 million in the future, and I believe that you should have no issue renting out rooms. Remember that this project will be classified as a prime, so you cannot rent out the whole flat even after MOP, and what you can do is just rent out rooms. Another thing that I appreciate is that there are good amenities within short bus ride away, such as the Toa Payoh Town Center, Toa Payoh Integrated Development, Mount Alvernia Hospital, Makrichi Reservoir, etc. So as long as you are okay to venture out either by MRT or by bus, there are amenities nearby. And for young family, you would be happy to know that there are some school options nearby. And furthermore, some of the schools nearby are relatively popular, which is always good news for resale value, even if you don't have young children yourself. Another thing that I like about this project is that it will have 1600 units plus plus. So that would mean that this is a mega project. It's typically very good for a future resale value benchmark. So even though it is near a young BTO, but hopefully because it has so many units, it will still be very competitive when you want to sell it in the open market later on after MOP. Now, on the other hand, what are the things that you need to watch out? So I think number one, the reality is this land plot is just across the Toa Payoh Ridge, which is a young BTO with standard classification. It will be one of your competition when you want to sell your flat later down the line, right? Because Toa Payoh Ridge, they only have 5-year MOP, and then there's no restriction to rent out the whole flat after MOP, no income ceiling for future resale buyers, etc. So definitely that would have some impact in how you can set your resale value down the line. Another thing that I don't like about this plot would be the entry price is kind of high. So if we use Toa Payoh Ascent pricing as a reference, most likely this Caldecott BTO will be priced slightly higher above that, right? So meaning a 4-room flat in this development most likely will be offered a starting somewhere under $600,000, which is kind of high, but then again the potential resale value is very strong as well. Another downside would be obviously it will be categorized as a prime because Toa Payoh Ascent is a prime, so it only makes sense for this upcoming Caldecott BTO to be assigned as a prime project as well. There will be subsidy clawback, but then at the end of the day, it is already part of Singapore's BTO reality, right? If you want to get a flat in strategic location, it will either be assigned as a plus or prime project. You know, it is what it is. Another thing that is very specific to this project that surprised me was the community care apartment or CCA allocation is kind of high. If we look at the statistic from February 2026 SBF, there are actually quite a lot of CCA that is not taken up yet. It seems that the concept still needs to be socialize further, and I've already mentioned that CCA probably need a different way to sell instead of purely relying on BTO sales launch or SBF sales launch. Considering the target audience is 65 years old plus, I think it requires a different approach. I kind of wish that some of the space that was allocated for CCA was allocated for two-room flexi instead. So maybe instead of having like 200 plus CCA, maybe you just have like a 100 CCA and then the rest make it a two-room flexi, but that's just my opinion. Another downside is assuming that this project will be as popular as Toa Payoh Ascent or even more popular, then you can expect to have a very high application rate for this BTO. It will be very competitive to get a flat here, depending on what other locations that will be offered in October. But I'm guessing this Toa Payoh town will be maybe like top 2 towns with the highest application rate. That would be my guess. And then another watch out is that construction noise is something that you might have to deal with depending on the timeline for the mixed-use development. So if the mixed-use development will be developed maybe 1 or 2 years difference with the BTO, then that's good. But then if let's say the mixed use development only starts to be developed after your BTO is ready, then you have to deal with the construction noise and also the dust. That's the reality. So in summary, I actually really like this land plot. And for me, the fact that it will be near a new mixed-use development changes everything. Because I remember when I was discussing Toa Payoh Ascent, one of the notes that I have is that there are very limited amenities within walking distance, unless you want to take a bus ride or MRT ride. But if there's a mall coming, that will be excellent, right? And also the fact that it is really within walking distance to Caldecott MRT station, that's also an excellent point. Don't forget that Caldecott MRT station, and don't forget that Caldecott is underground. So you don't have to worry about like train noises passing by because Caldecott is underground, so that's also good. Another strong point would be that it is near several popular schools. Typically, that would be very good for future resale value later on. But overall, I think this is a project that is very appealing. If you like Toa Payoh town, I highly recommend to apply to this project. Location is excellent, so highly recommended. I'm actually very curious to see like what else is going to be offered in October 2026, because based on the pattern, usually it is June and October that has the best location selection. So I'm really curious. Again, if you want to know what is the potential impact of Toa Payoh Ridge, the young BTO that is classified as a standard, towards the potential resale value of this Caldecott BTO, please check out my other video in this channel because I will be discussing it for members only. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye. To support my work, you can give a one-time tip by pressing the thanks button, pick the amount that you want, and click buy and send. Or you can also press the join button for exclusive contents and monthly membership. Your support means a lot to keep us independent. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.